Hey, everybody. Sorry, I was having some technical difficulties there for just a hot second. Hello, everybody. It is good to see you. Thank you for coming in to join me today. I'm just having a heck of a time with my camera today. It is not acting right, and it looks like I'm in good shape now. Okay. All right. So, for those of you who are joining me live, welcome. For those of you who are going to see this on replay, welcome. Today I'm going to be talking a little bit about different things going on in the employee world, different things going on in the time of year, and lots of different stuff going on, lots of different things. So for those of you who are here, just go ahead and say hello. It's good to have you. And so talking about employee issues, for the people who come to my channel, a lot of people are solopreneurs and a lot of people are entrepreneurs. So they don't think that they're ever going to have to worry about employee issues. Well, I'm telling you, no matter where you're at in your journey as a business owner, if you don't think you're going to have to deal with employee issues, you're kidding yourself. And I thought, man, I'm never going to have to worry about that stuff because I'm a solopreneur. I'm never going to have to worry about employees. And even if you're an entrepreneur, you should be thinking about that now, even if you just got a business idea. And I'll tell you why. Many business owners, I don't know, I get a lot of business owners that reach out to me, many entrepreneurs who reach out to me, and they say they've got a business idea, and it's usually very granular. It's usually about a job that they're trying to create for themselves. And I totally understand that. And it's natural to think of how when you got this idea, it's easy to think, how can I do this? How can I get it done? And the reason for that I see is that many business owners who come to me, most business owners, in fact, many entrepreneurs, they come because they're really smart and they've got a really good work ethic. And the problem with that is they're really smart and they've got a really good work ethic. And you might be thinking, well, how in the world could that be a problem? Here's the problem: that because most entrepreneurs that come across my circle are pretty smart, usually way smarter than me. And I'm thinking, wow, you're really, really smart. But the problem is you're thinking about how you can do this. And now all you're doing is creating a job for yourself. And for some situations, that might be fine. But the problem gets to one of scale, because you can only do so many things given a period of time. No matter how good you think you could be at multitasking, you're still only constrained by one person. You cannot be a football team of one person. It doesn't work. That's why you need a team. So recognizing this and breaking things down in the way I look at it, for those of you who've seen me before, I break it down into 4 core functions of business: lead generation, sales, operations, accounting. Lead gen, sales, operations, accounting. Those 4 core functions are really important, because once you start thinking about, okay, so I've got this thing that I need done, now I need an employee, right? No, or let's just say, for argument's sake, that you're like, nope, I'm not going to go employees, but I am going to bring in subcontractors, right? So you're not going to make them a full employee, but you're going to make them a subcontractor. Okay, fine. You're going to have the same issues. And this is where I'm telling you, like, starting to recognize this as a potential problem down the road now is going to save you massive amounts of headaches later. I'm not saying that the headaches are going to get easier, but if you're thinking like now, well, I don't have to worry about employee issues now because I don't have any employees, or I'm just thinking that it will never, it's a thing I'll deal with later on. That problem is just never going to get better. It's never going to fix itself. So this is why I'm putting this video together. I've had a bunch of conversations over probably the last, I don't know, month and a half, and it seems like employee issues are just coming up more and more. So here's what I want to, I'm going to take this I'm going to approach this a couple different ways. So again, whether you're an entrepreneur, a solopreneur, or a true micro business owner, I think let me define those here just a second. The entrepreneur is someone who's got an idea. You've got a business idea. You're thinking, okay, cool, I've got this idea for this widget, this product, this service, whatever it is, and I want to be able to go out and find whatever it is. It could be a marketing company, it could be fractional CFO, you could be a roofer, you can make bagels. I don't really care. Whatever it is, You've got this idea and you think you know how to make money. Okay, great. You are now officially an entrepreneur, right? Congratulations. So now you're an entrepreneur, and many people go make that jump straight into solopreneur, where now what they have done is the solopreneur has created a job for themselves. So if the solopreneur does not show up to work, almost always no work gets done, no worky, no money, right? So that's generally what happens. And that's okay. I'm not suggesting that being a solopreneur is wrong or bad. I have made a lot of money being a solopreneur, but you cannot scale that model unless you start to remove yourself from some of those tasks. And you just got to know right now, I'm here to tell you that not every business is scalable, and you cannot scale a broken business model. And right now, then part of the reason what kicked off this thought for this video is, I don't know how many of you are on social media, and especially on Facebook. Man, it is bad on Facebook right now that every other video is of a guru telling you about scaling. Oh, you need to scale. You need to do this, right? Scaling this, scaling that. If you want to scale your business, if you want to get beyond $1 million, if you want to go from 1 million to 10 million or 10 million to 30 million, right? And there's these videos of telling you why you're stuck at 3 million, and videos that'll tell you why you're stuck at below 10 million. Man, it is not that simple. There's a multitude of reasons why that could be happening across a multitude of different industries. So just to paint that brush, not to mention, think of think of the dollar differential between what goes on between New York or California in the Midwest. The dollar is very differently valued. Like, so it's just, if you stop and think about it for just a second and put on your analytical peer-reviewed lens for just a second and go, wait a minute, that doesn't smell right to me. You probably know it doesn't smell right. So yeah, pull out the red BS flag and throw it. That's what I'm saying. You need to start thinking about this stuff, because it's not all businesses are not scalable. But let's pretend yours is. Let's pretend that you've gotten to a business that is truly scalable. And you might think, well, okay, so I've got this business. I'm going to scale this business. And then you can break this down into 4 core functions. Again, lead generation, sales, operations, accounting. As the solopreneur, you're doing all 4 of those functions, right? You're doing the lead generation, which is going out, running ads, and sometimes it's cold calling, sometimes it's networking, whatever it is, but you're generating leads in some particular way. Then the solopreneur has to sell those leads as they come in. So now you're in the sales mode. So here you are in selling mode, and so you've taken the leads. Let's say you've got 100 leads. Out of those 100 leads, you get 10 prospects. We'll say 10 prospects. Okay, so now you're having 10 conversations to maybe get 2 closings. All right, so now you've got what to do. That's right. Now you've got fulfillment, right? So you've got the lead generation, you've got the sale. Now you've got fulfillment. And now if you're particularly if you're in a service-based business, now you got to go to work. Now you've got to earn your keep, because you can't just sell. You've got to fulfill. So assuming you don't have a product, or let's say that you do have a product, well, where's this product coming from? Are you creating the product? Are you the one creating the soap? Are you the one creating the magic oil, or whatever it is that you're creating to sell? What is it, right? So there's got to be some level of operational function there. So then you've got lead generation, you've got sales, you've got operations, and then you've got accounting. And accounting is generally the thing that gets ignored. If you're going to get stuck, you generally get stuck in the operation. If you're going to ignore something, usually it's the accounting function. And it usually goes something like this. Well, I've got more money in my bank account this month than last month. I must be doing okay. Right? How many times have you had those conversations? And it happens. This is why I'm saying you've got to stop and think about bringing other people into your organization, whether that's through a contractor or whether that's through a full employee that you can directly control. You got to have other people doing this, because otherwise, well, what happens when, let's say that you sold those 2 people, you do the fulfillment of those 2 people. Are you able to do the lead gen at the same time? No, you can't. You're not going to have enough time. So now you're working longer hours trying to do fulfillment, and now that you're done, your pipeline is empty. So guess what? Now you're going back to lead generation, and the process starts all over again. And this is why business owners, specifically solopreneurs, but business owners will also get caught in that trap because they're not delegating appropriately, or they're not delegating to the right people to do the right things. And that's why business owners have the same series of Wednesdays over and over and over, right? I mean, ask me how I know. So this is why it's really important that you stop and think about this and say, hang on a second. And what am I really trying to do here? So if you really are trying to get time back on your calendar, if you really are trying to get more money, you do have to leverage your time by bringing other people into the organization. So if you truly want to scale, bringing people into your organization is what has a scaling effect on your business. And bringing in quality people and developing them as leaders is really what has that scaling multiplier effect on your business. And the reason why I say that is because when you're bringing in someone who's a true leader and understands that context of leadership, they're going to be bringing in their tribe. They're going to be bringing in their contacts. They're going to be bringing in people that they know. That's why it's important to bring in people who are of true quality, not just box checkers that can just, well, you know, I'm just going to hire the person at the cheapest price. This is why I'm telling you, this is so important to set your business up thinking about this in the right way. We're going to get back to employee issues here in just a second. Probably should type in employee issues so you wonder with these people who are joining going, what am I signing up for? That is strategicboardroom.com. That's not what you care about. Let me type in employee issues, because that's really what we're talking about today. And ultimately, we're going to get to why all that matters. So as you're saying and you're thinking about, all right, hold on a second. So when you start out your business, and this is very typical, this is a very typical journey for what most companies do. I want you to think about Hyundai. Think about Hyundai for a second. Now, for those of you, I know I've got people who are all over, not just in the United States, but all over in different countries who join me here on this channel. But here's the interesting thing. And there's people, and this is also being broadcast to school. I have a school community too that you are welcome to join me at too. But here's the interesting thing is that when you have a business that starts out, and if you're thinking about Hyundai, the way Hyundai came into America was they came in at a very low price. And that is generally how most business owners do it. They try to come in, gain market share, and they come in at a very low price. They come in competing on price. The problem with that approach is that it leaves you always playing from behind. You're always playing from behind, where now you're thinking, okay, well, crap, unless I have a really low cost of capital, or some other competitive advantage, I'm going to be working my tail off for a really long time. And you might be thinking, okay, that's fine. That's not a problem. But here is the problem, is that when you're coming into low price, profitability suffers. This is why having profits or having a good pricing strategy going in to the market makes a lot of sense. And unfortunately, most people go in and say, well, what do normal people charge? And they say, okay, well, they charge the lowest, they charge the highest. I'm going to be somewhere in the middle. That's pretty typical for what people do. And I know because I've done that. And the problem is that you are racing yourself to the bottom. You're pricing yourself out of the market, and you're not able to hire in quality employees. So now you just take whoever you can afford, or you start taking a haircut by not being able to pay yourself adequately. And I get it. I understand why it is. But if you're not thinking about this strategically up front, this is always going to be a problem for you. So here it is. So you're getting into business for yourself. You want to get into some sort of business. You look out at the landscape. You see what the competitors are doing. You're like, okay, they do this. I'm going to do a little bit more, and I'm going to charge a little bit less, and I'm going to get a bunch of customers in, and I'll build up that loyalty, and then I'll just start trying to raise my prices and things like that. The problem is, I want you to think about what Hyundai has done now to a whole new breed of a whole new generation of people. Hyundai may represent a higher quality vehicle. In my mind, I won't ever own a Hyundai because in my mind, I think they're crap. And they might still be crap. I have no idea, but they look nice. And then I realize it's a Hyundai. I'm like, I won't buy it. I won't buy that. And some people feel that way about Buicks. Some people feel that way about other cars. Many people think about Tesla. What did Tesla do? Tesla did the opposite of that. Tesla came in at a very high price, right? And then they lowered their price later to bring in more people. Think about what Mercedes-Benz did. They came in at a very high price. Now they still got very expensive vehicles, but they do have more moderately priced stuff for, for the proletariat, right? For the commoners. But the thing is, that's what they have done. So they still maintain that presence. They still have a higher value in the mind of the consumer. But it allows them to sell those higher priced vehicles and still maintain brand identity. So that's important. And pricing strategy is really important when you're going into this. So I say all that because eventually you're going to have employee issues. And if we're talking about strategy and we're talking about different things that you have to do in advance of having employees, I want you to think, again, you're having employee issues. Again, you're like, hey, man, I'm a solopreneur. This doesn't apply to me. Or, hey, man, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm not even going to worry about employees down the road. If you're ever hoping to scale, you need to think about your employee issues now. So for those of you, and I'm just going to make this quick point, and I'll put the fries in the bag and we'll wrap up this video. But the thing is, for those of you who have ideas around creating a business, again, we're talking about the 3 C's of business vision. The 3 C's of business vision, which is around core purpose, core values, and client avatar. We're talking about strategy here. We're talking about business strategy. And when you're putting together your core purpose, your core values, and your client avatar, your core purpose needs to be specific to what the business does, right? Like what problems do you solve? What business are you specifically in? And it's really important, like, what businesses you're not in. And that's okay. Be a little obnoxious about the business that you're not in, because when you start attracting employees to your organization, it's going to be really important that they know what it is that you do. If they have no clue what it is that you're doing in business, it's not going to get magically easier. Okay. So that's number 1. Number 2 is, so that's core purpose. No, core values is specifically and truly about what you value in this company. And I know some of you might be going, oh man, this is just way too squishy. I'm getting ready to bounce. Listen, company core values is what defines company culture, and company culture and company brand are inextricably linked. That is what makes a truly valuable company. So when you got a company that has a really, really strong brand because its employees run the company and the boss doesn't have to be there every single minute, that's what core values does. Having core values in place that are very, very strong, that where everybody is rowing in the same direction, where they're very well defined. They're not just words that are stuck up on a wall that never get revisited. That's really important, to have a defined set of core values, so that when the employee issues show up, and they will, sure as God made little green apples, they will show up, then you can bring back around the company core values. And you say, hey man, look, around here, we value, like, we have integrity, right? Integrity is one of our core values. And it's easy just to say, well, integrity, of course, like, who wouldn't value integrity? Look, I'm just telling you, it needs to be a core value. It needs to be something that's really, really well defined. And maybe I'll put together a video on specifically defining core values, but the core values, your business is just an extension of you, right? So your company core values needs to be an extension of who you are as a human being. So stop and think about this for just a hot second. You might think, well, yeah, this sounds super squishy. Like, I kind of get a sense of what my core values are. Okay, maybe you do. But here's the thing. A value and a core value are not the same thing. There's a value. Like, I value this pen, right? If someone came to me and said, hey man, do you like, can I take that pen from you? I'm like, yeah, sure. Right. I don't really care that much because I don't value it enough to hoard it. But if it's truly a core value, I'm going to be willing to fight for it. I'm going to be willing to, it's such a value that's so strong for me, I'm willing to get up and act. That is when I know that when I do have employee issues that show up, that I'm able to say to them, hang on a second, you're violating a core value for me. You're violating a core value of this company. And that is not what we stand for here. That's not what this company culture is. Okay. So that's why it's really important to take that time to define those core values. And when those violations come up, whether it's a vendor, whether it's a subcontractor, whether it's a supplier, or whether it's an employee, then you can say, whoa, man, I'm really super confused. This is a violation of core value here. Can we talk? Because these are fireable offenses where you would let someone go for violation of a core value. That's what I'm talking about. Okay. So when you're having these conversations, so again, like, for example, one of the core values it's one of my favorite core values in Strategic Boardroom is creating legends. And creating legends, what that basically means is creating a culture of positive gossip. So whatever that is, right? I have got some amazing folks who are in my tribe helping me out. And I've got like, we'll take, for example, this gal, Lauren. Lauren is an unbelievably loyal and good human being and really smart. And the things that she's able to do from a mindfulness perspective and a conscientiousness perspective and helping other people out, she's legendary. She's absolutely legendary. And that's the thing that makes me think I want her on my tribe. I want her part of who I am. And if she started acting out contrary to that core value, where she was tearing someone down or came to me with some gossip that was not good, I would say, wait a minute, whoa, that's violating a core value. What is, like, let's talk about that. So, and that is, that's what's really important around having a set of core values that really truly are fireable offenses if someone does violate them. So I'm gonna wrap that up with employee issues. But here's the thing: is that so you might be saying, well, how do you actually have this conversation? So when you have in this conversation around employee issues, and again, whether if you're an entrepreneur or a solopreneur, you're thinking, well, I don't ever have to worry about this because I don't have that right now. But you may. And if you're looking to grow, you will. So you might be saying, hey, look, I'm really confused right now because it seems like you're acting in a way that's contrary. It's like, for you even wanting to be here. Do you even want to be here right now? If you don't, that's okay. And it really is truly okay if they don't want to be here, because you may be saying, hey, look, you've showed up late a couple times this week. I've heard your tone has very much changed on the phone. And again, this is just my perception, but it seems like you really don't want to be here. Is everything okay? It almost gives me a sense that you are looking for another place to work. Is that what's going on? And you're truly just having a conversation at that point in time. And maybe there's some truth in it. But there's also, because it's a violation of a core value, you are obligated as the boss to have these conversations. You're obligated as the boss to be truthful with them and have true, candid conversations with them. Because if you're too caring, they're going to walk all over you. If you have too much candor, they're going to treat you like a tyrant, and they will do the absolute bare minimum, no more, no less. And that's it. So that's the thing when you're starting to think about this. And I'll go ahead and wrap up this video. Thanks so much for sticking around. And if you are interested in the school community, there's a link here in the top of the description field. But if you want to join me on school, this is the sort of stuff that we talk about all the time. And I just want you to think about this: is that how I want you to start thinking. If you're a solopreneur or an entrepreneur, I want you to start thinking about who you can be bringing in your organization, not how can I do the thing. That's really important. And if you are already a true business owner, right, where you've got 1 to 19 or more employees, and you start thinking about all these employee issues, I'm telling you, it's almost always related to an issue of company culture. So how well are your core values defined, and how often do they hear these company core values? Every single time we hold a meeting, and right now we're holding a meeting roughly twice a week. Well, I'd say roughly it's Tuesdays and Fridays. But if you have an organization of more than a couple of people, you probably need to be having one every day, depending on how operationally busy you are. So, and at every one of those meetings, I would pick one of those core values to go over. That way people are hearing core values quite often. So that is everything that I have. Thanks for sticking around. I'll see you in school. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you next time.